Good evening, baseball fans. It is Thursday, April 10th, and we have a very special edition of Bourbon and Baseball. Today we have a very special guest, Fernando, from the Angels in the Infield. There we go. I was about to say outfield. Nope, that's a whole movie. That's not it. Angels in the Infield. Halos in the Infield podcast. Fernando, who is your partner in crime? You have a couple of them over there, right?
Yeah, we have a pretty big team. The main guy is Todd.
Todd.
But yeah, Todd is the primary partner in crime. We're the ones who started the page together, and the group is kind of grown since.
Perfect. So thanks so much for coming on today. Obviously brought you on because, the upcoming Angels series. But before we get into that, Fernando, I have to give the people and probably you, a warning because this is a rated R podcast for all of the four-letter words that probably will come out of my mouth and, maybe some inappropriate adult humor, but, mainly the cussing. So if that is, not your jam, well, not your jam because you have to stay on. But, the people's, if they not a fan of cussing, probably skedaddle on out of here and get your Angel slash Astros crossover coverage elsewhere. I mean, let's just be really honest. It's not going to be as fun as our podcast, but that's okay too. So, if you like boring podcasts, by all means, go somewhere else. If you like the fun stuff, stay on over here. So, with that said, Fernando, again, thank you so much for coming on. And I gotta say, Fernando, I did the preview with you guys on your podcast before the season started, and at no point in time did I ever think that you look up the standings and here you guys are at 7-3. Is that the record now?
Yeah, 8-4 right now.
8-4. Okay.
Now, I do want to ask you this. I want to give you an opportunity. So, for anybody who might not have listened, we predicted where all the teams were going to end in the standings. We had said off air that I don't think I'm not naive. I don't think the Angels are a playoff team. But you did say you didn't see Texas winning the division. We're 2 weeks in, but I want to give you a chance to have a mulligan on that. You said with what pitching? It's still early, but the Rangers have looked really good. Do you still not believe they're the team to beat? Because I said they were.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I gave you a chance. I gave you a lifeline, Suzy.
Nope. And listen, let's just be really fucking honest. At no point in time am I ever going to admit that the Rangers, even if they are better than us, at no point in time am I going to actually admit it. I will take at some point my baseball hat off and give them compliments when needs be. But at no point in time will I physically actually say, fine, the Rangers are better than us, blah blah blah. No, that's not going to happen.
That's fair. I mean, as long as you give them let's just say when they won the World Series, you can tip your cap, hey, you know what? Respect, you guys won it. I hate you guys, but
fine, I guess. I mean,
that was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. I was a little bit complimentary. I mean, I was rooting for the Diamondbacks, so there's that.
I mean, I was as well. I mean, they are in our division.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really like the Dbacks when CorbinCarroll won Rookie of the Year. And I was on CorbinCarroll before rookie, when he won Rookie of the Year. I was like, watch this guy, you need to watch him, he's gonna be awesome. And so I was on the Dbacks train before I don't know, it got quote unquote popular to, like the Dbacks. I don't know. But I've liked the Dbacks for a while now. But I still maintain my with what pitching, because at no point in time will you convince me otherwise that Jacob deGrom is going to stay healthy, and really Tyler Mahle is still coming back from TJ, so I don't know what version of Tyler Mahle you're going to get. And Nathan Eovaldi, fine. There is my one complimentary thing I'm going to say about the Rangers pitching. Nathan Eovaldi.
I would love if Nathan Eovaldi was an Angel. God, I would love that.
Yeah, I would love if Nathan Eovaldi was an Astro, but that it will be sooner that he would be an Angel than he would be an Astro. So, there's that. But we didn't come on to talk about the Rangers. Why? That's so silly. We don't want to talk about the Rangers. We're going to talk about the Angels. We're going to talk about the second place Angels. Hang the banner right now. Let's go. But I gotta say, Fernando, I didn't see it. And I'm a little surprised. So I know you guys are thrilled with today's outcome of the game today. The drubbing of the Rays, 11-1. That's did you I don't understand. Well, one, it's Steinbrenner Field, so I get it. However, it's the same dimensions as, like that Yankee Stadium. A
Yeah,
little
the
less
Yankee Stadium is
with the
definitely
weather.
a little league baseball stadium for sure.
Yeah.
I've been there in person. That ball just flies.
Yeah.
And then the what do they call them? The bleacher creatures, like pretending that it's some kind of miraculous thing out there. Yankee Stadium sucks for anyone who hasn't been there. It's really not that great.
It really isn't. And I was really trying to take my biased Yankee hat off when I went, and I was like, I don't understand why everybody likes this stadium. Like if it didn't say Yankee Stadium on it, I really believe that more people would not like it because it just really
Yep.
felt cold. And I don't know, everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so historic." Well, is it? Is it really? Anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, so let's talk about today's game. Shout out Soriano. Where did he come from? I was not he wasn't on my radar at the beginning of the season. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about him.
And that's one guy that a lot of Angels fans were excited about for the starting rotation. There was a little bit of optimism this year going into being, into the start of the season that we had a little bit more starting pitching depth. And in all fairness, the Angels have a lot of starting pitching depth this year. Is it major league caliber starting pitching depth? That remains to be seen. But the point is, for the first time in, I mean, God knows how long, the Angels actually have options. You know what I mean? If somebody goes down, we're not running the popcorn vendor out there. You know what I mean? There's a legitimate rookie prospect type guy who has the opportunity to do something up there, and that's a nice feeling to have. And Jose Soriano is kind of the guy who people were starting to say, hey, maybe he could be the A word. We say that a lot. For anyone who's wondering what that is, it's ace, an ace. There's a lot of number one starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, but there
Right.
isn't a lot of aces these days, like there were 10, 15, 20 years ago. But he is a young guy. He came out of the bullpen. The Angels traded for him before last season. They started him as a starting pitching, put him in the rotation. And he had a very, very phenomenal 2024. It ended early because of some injury issues. They shut him down. He had a full off season to recover, had a healthy off season, which is always a plus. You always hear people talking about how beneficial that was. So, he got to prepare as a starting pitcher this entire offseason, and it's clearly transitioned well. I mean, he didn't want to leave today's game. I would have liked him to finish the eighth inning, but I get it. It's still early on in the season.
What was his pitch count?
He in the 80s, I believe.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, for an Angel, that's very high. But yeah, I mean, he won his second game of the season. We have a question of the day every single day, Halos in the Infield. And I asked, hey, who do you think is going to lead this team in wins? And that was the number one choice.
So it looks like he had 93.
Oh, okay, there you go. See, I was off.
Went 7.2 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 4 Ks for a ERA of 2.7. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, if I saw correctly on the broadcast, they had said that he had 16 ground ball outs today, which 16 ground ball outs, 4 strikeouts, and then he had 3 pop outs.
Nice.
And, it's nice to have a young guy with promise. He has great stuff, electric stuff, goes out there every fifth day looking to get a win. We were talking about the A word, and with an ace, you want them to go out there and you want to automatically feel like, hey, that's a win, right? You guys had that for years with Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke, just to name a couple. you always knew, hey, it's a W, it's a W. Grab the permanent marker. We don't need the, we don't need the erasable pen. And for once, the Angels kind of have that with some of these guys. The rotation has actually been a very, very pleasant surprise this early.
Well, that's good. How's Kikuchi doing?
He got lit up yesterday. So that's Wednesday's game. Gave up a grand slam. He held in there afterward, and he didn't just kind of fizzle out like limp noodle.
Right.
He actually fought back, stayed in, which is always encouraging. I like Kikuchi, but we certainly haven't really gotten to see Astros Kikuchi just yet.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. I was wondering if he was going to revert back to the Blue Jays version of Kikuchi versus staying the Astros version. But fingers crossed. It's
Yeah,
a work in progress, and maybe with some work. Does LoganOHoppe catch him, or does d'Arnaud catch him?
d'Arnaud catches him. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think 2 out of his 3 games have been d'Arnaud. I know for sure yesterday it was. So I believe that's kind of been the trend. But yeah, I mean, in 3 games, he's 0-2 with the 5 ERA. He's only gotten to pitch 18 innings. He's got 16 strikeouts. So, I mean, that's pretty good. Almost a strikeout an inning. But,
Yeah.
he's not really a strikeout machine either. So I don't know if that's what he needs to refine in his game. Maybe you kind of need to trust your defense a little bit more. Who knows?
Yeah. Not. I don't quite know. We don't. I just say that there's some sort of black magic that Josh Miller does out there in the quote unquote pitching lab. I don't. We'll see. We shall see. But so we've talked Soriano, we've talked Kikuchi. Let's talk about the rest of your rotation that we will see upcoming this weekend. So you guys come in to quote unquote Dyken Park. I say quote unquote like that's not its actual name. That is its actual name. I just don't like calling it that. So, for the remainder the
The
podcast,
icebox.
I'm going to call it the Icebox because I like I said, I am a 12-year-old juvenile delinquent apparently, and I cannot shorten Dyken Park to DP without like snickering and just making dirty jokes to myself. So for the sake of like professionalism, I have to say the Icebox so that I don't ruin it every single time. So, but we are going
Yeah,
to.
you don't want to send people to the DP.
Yeah, no, that's not what we want to do. That's
We
not
don't
what we
do that
want to
around here.
do. Mm-mm. So we are going to see Kochanowicz on Friday. We are going to see TylerAnderson on Saturday, and then we are going to see KyleHendricks on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that game. I think he might get lit up.
It, just it'll surprise you what the Astros are capable of. There's an equal chance of him getting lit up, and also there's a quite a good chance of him like throwing a no-hitter. That's just how it goes sometimes with the Astros, and it's one of those that I'm all, which version of the Astros are we going to get today? We shall see. So, is that the 3-4-5 of your rotation, or
Yeah, so
okay,
Kikuchi on paper is the ace, and then Soriano, and
okay,
then JackKochanowicz. So, yeah, I like JackKochanowicz, another young guy, a lot of promise. He earned the final spot in the rotation, if you will, out of spring training over ReidDetmers, and that's where ReidDetmers got sent to bullpen land
okay,
and long relief land. And he's done okay in that role. I think his ERA is somewhere in the 2s right now. Once again, I mean, he's only gotten like 8 innings or so. He hasn't gotten to pitch too much just yet. He's kind of been misused too on opening day. Instead of using ReidDetmers to eat up innings, which is the point of a long reliever,
right,
they just threw in a position player.
okay. Well, that's makes sense, I
Do
guess.
what you do, Ron
Yeah,
Washington. I mean, what?
yeah.
How am I going to tell one of the best baseball minds what to do? You
That's
know what I mean?
that is very true. So, is Kochanowicz one of those that just went straight from the Salt Lake Bees? That's your AA system, right?
Triple A.
Oh, okay. So wait, Is that the one of the ones that went straight from AA to the majors though, without going to AAA?
I believe that Jack Kohana was a trade candidate. I'm pulling that up right now. I believe he was involved in one of the trades from last season.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, but yeah, he had a little bit of a short sip of coffee, if you will, last year.
Gotcha. Okay. So, you have another guy in the bullpen that has never seen the minor leagues that got signed this past, right? This past
Ryan
draft
Johnson.
round, RyanJohnson. Okay. Am I on crack or was did he pitch in one of those, I say very early on games, we're only 13 games in now, but one of the earlier games get lit up and then like the day after Ron Washington like put him back in and then he like was super
He got a
awesome and
save.
okay. Okay. So I'm not on crack. It is the guy that I was thinking of.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
you definitely. Uh, it sounds really wrong when you think about it like that. You're like, man, this guy got lit up, and then the next day, Ron Washington's like, hey, you're in, kid. I mean, that's exactly what happened. But hey, I mean, give him credit. He hopped right back on the horse, got his first career save after getting lit up on opening day. Yeah, it's exactly what happened. I mean, another guy we're excited about. He was drafted. You'll hear him compared an awful lot to Shohei Ohtani because he was the
Okay.
Shohei Ohtani draft pick,
That one.
the
Okay.
compensation pick for Shohei
Gotcha.
Ohtani going to the evil empire in blue.
Gotcha. 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 Okay. So is he kind of your setup guy, seventh inning guy? Not really a defined role for him, or
Yeah, I think they're still trying to figure out exactly where he's going to fit. He had kind of held the game together on the Wednesday night game,
okay.
but that's kind of he's kind of finding his role. I think the future goal is to make him a starting pitcher. That's what they were saying during spring training.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But they say a bunch of stuff during spring training, so you never really know. But yeah, he's got good stuff. I mean, you got to be able to bounce back from getting lit up on your first career outing on opening day to all of a sudden getting a save the next day. You know, baseball's all about short-term memory,
Right.
goldfish brain, as some people call it, and he's clearly shown to have that. I really like him in a bullpen role, but obviously, this organization doesn't have a ton of solidified starting pitchers for the future just yet. Yeah, we have a lot of depth, but those guys haven't proven it yet either. So I think as of right now, they're just kind of plug guys in and see where they fit.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So, uh, tell me, BenJoyce is the for sure closer, though. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it.
Incorrect. It
Incorrect.
is
Okay.
KenleyJansen.
Oh, I
KenleyJansen, I
forgot
believe
about
he's got
Kenley.
what, about
Okay.
3 saves now, maybe 4. He just got his 450th career save in or it's not St. Petersburg anymore, in Tampa. In Tampa. Have you made the mistake yet?
You know, I don't think I have, mainly because I don't ever refer to it as St. Petersburg. I always just refer to it as like Rays Stadium, but then again, I'm really not talking about the Rays too often.
That's
So,
fair.
you
Have
know,
you been? I'm guessing you've never been out there though.
I haven't.
You
No.
are not missing out on anything.
Yeah, no.
By far the worst stadium I've been to.
When I lived in Florida, I was not a baseball fan, and
Mhm.
so I never went to I never went over there. And then, funnily enough, we were talking. My husband and I were talking about Coors, and one of my friends, I'm a photographer. One of my friends has a studio literally like right down the street from Coors, and I had no idea. And again, that was like before I
Free
liked
baseball,
baseball.
Susie?
Yeah, that was before baseball, Suzy, and I was so sad when he told me that. And he's like, "Yeah, you didn't want to go because it was baseball." And I was like, "I would like to travel back in time and just bitch slap myself. That's what I would like to do." But
Coors Field is such a beautiful ballpark. One of my favorites. One of my
yeah,
favorites by far.
yeah. Every time I look at it, I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "I definitely need to go. Definitely need to go." But anyways,
It's so
um,
picturesque.
it really is. I want to go frolic in like the forest in center field, like behind the center field wall,
Every
and
time I see that Forest, I think about that player. I forgot who it was that like urinated behind one of those trees.
I don't I don't think I know that story.
Yeah, I saw like you know how when you go to like the baseball stadiums, they'll show like bloopers or whatever. So it was one of those blooper videos for like a couple years, and I just think to myself, man, you're probably lucky you're a professional baseball player because if you weren't, you probably would have ended up on a couple lists.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
I think that's a like a public indecency charge or something
that's what I'm
you know,
saying. Yeah,
if the cop really
especially
wants
because it's
to,
such a public place.
yeah. Golly, that's funny. Um, okay, so, yeah, I totally forgot you guys got KenleyJansen.
Yeah, yeah, 1 year, $10 million for anybody who's quickly trying to Google it. Wait. You know that that GIF where like the cat's like typing. Everyone's
Right.
trying to do that right now. Yeah, it was a 1 year, $10 million deal. BenJoyce got lit up a couple days ago. His velo was down drastically. His fastball was at about 91 miles an hour, so there was a lot of
Wow.
red flags. Nothing's really come out of it. I mean, they asked Ron Washington what happened, and Ron Washington just simply said, "Hey, he didn't have it today." I'm hoping that's the case. And he had some injury issues already. He's been shut down a couple times in his young career due to shoulder inflammation. So honestly, anytime you hear that as a baseball fan, you immediately start thinking, "Oh, TJ."
Yeah.
So he's avoided those dreaded words, but I mean, I'm certainly not trying to speak into existence. I'm going to knock on wood, but I'm not an idiot. If you're throwing 105 miles an hour in Major League Baseball, it's
Something's
inevitable.
right, something's gotta give. I don't think the human body was made to throw that hard for that long, so,
Yeah, maybe don't
um
throw your fastball as much, Ben. That's my
yeah,
that's my advice.
yeah, that's not so good, but,
But look at Chapman, Aroldis Chapman. I mean, he's been throwing like that forever. So
yeah, he's a unit, though. I hate Aroldis Chapman. God.
yeah, not
Anyways,
that good of a guy either.
no,
But
no,
yeah,
no.
I digress. I'm not here to judge people morally.
So, okay, so then typically when BenJoyce is right, is he the setup guy then, or does that role kind of change as well?
Yeah, I mean they've used him in some seventh inning spots already. Really, they kind of use him in that high leverage role. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If somebody has a runner on first and second, if it's like RyanJohnson, first and second in the seventh inning, they'll put BenJoyce to put out that fire, and he's done really well in that type of role this year. Probably because he was closing last year. You know what I mean? They're putting him in
Right.
those pressure situations. Closing pitchers suck when it's not a
Safe
tight
situation.
situation. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you've seen many times in your life where they put in the closer, they put in like Josh Hader or something. The Astros are up by like 5 runs and he's just getting lit up. And it's like, why are you guys doing that? Closers never do well in that role.
Oh, yeah. Well, we said we had Ryan Presley last year that moved from the closer role to the setup role, and you could just tell that he wasn't comfortable. Like, I don't I don't know if they need that extra bump of adrenaline or, what it is, but he was not the same. Was not the same. So, um
I think they're just
so
creatures of habit. So you know what I mean? The
that too.
mindset's completely different. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you're going from don't let anything, don't let anyone get on base. Don't let anyone get on base to like, whatever, just throwing little lollipops and rainbows up there. And all of a sudden they're getting lit up. They're like, what's happening? I
Right.
mean, KenleyJansen literally had, I think it was running on first and third with 0 outs, and he somehow secured the save. And I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? What happened?
Right. He got locked in after that. He's like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Now
Oh,
now
yeah.
the situation is dire. Got
Give
it.
him a
Okay."
chance.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah,
was just you
yeah.
just wanted to toy with their emotions just a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah, as the saying goes, haha, bitch, you thought,
Yeah.
you thought it was going to happen,
All
but it
right.
didn't.
So tell us, Fernando, about KaironParis. For those that don't watch any other baseball besides Astros, who KaironParis is, where he came from, what and how what his stats are this season, and why, as Astros fans, we should probably be a little leery about KaironParis.
Yeah, have you gotten to see a lot of KyronParis so far this season? Have you? Yeah, I know we talked about him during spring training.
Yeah, I've only watched a couple of highlights, and then someone had mentioned him in one of my fantasy leagues and had asked if I had him because obviously it's not like a really well-known name that's, lighting it up. I'm like, "No, I do not have KaironParis, unfortunately. I was not smart enough to grab him, before." he started lighting it up. So,
Yeah, I mean, he's a 23-year-old kid. A lot of people forget that. He's a career like 120 hitter, I believe it was before this year. For anyone who doesn't know the story, we talked a little bit about it in our preview show. He went to Aaron Judge's hitting coach this offseason. And that's why if you look at Paris's swing this year, it is very, very similar to Aaron Judge. Some people might talk trash about that, but hey, if somebody's successful, what's wrong with emulating it, right? I mean,
right.
kids do it all the time, right?
If
They have a
it's working
favorite
for him.
baseball player. Exactly. People have a favorite baseball player, football player, basketball player. They model their game after them. That's essentially what he did, right? They're from a similar area. I believe they're both from like Northern California, like the Elk Grove area, which is near Sacramento, for anyone who does know that area. So there was a bit of a connection there. And seemingly he's figured something out. If you look at his baseball savant page, there's a lot of red on there this year. He is in the 90th percentile for almost everything. Barrel rate, his whiff percentage is one of the lowest in baseball. He's making solid contact. His exit velo is super high. His bat speed's still pretty low, but at the end of the day, he's still barreling the baseball correctly. He's not swinging at bad pitches. The guy is currently batting .393 with an on-base percentage. Get this, Suzy. Say what you want about it being a small sample size. .485 is insane at any point of the season.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's some good numbers there. That is some really good numbers.
Yeah, and he's a guy that we're all starting to get really excited about here in Anaheim. I say that like I don't live in the Metroplex area, but theoretically here in Anaheim. But yes, he's a bright spot in a situation where nobody took this guy seriously, right? Last year, he got some major league opportunities. A lot of people were already starting to say, just get rid of that guy. That experiment's over. But he really, really impressed during spring training. I mean, you brought that up yourself, that he was really impressing you during spring training. There was a lot of people who were like, hey, who's this guy? So I give him a lot of credit. He seemingly worked on it and he seemingly having a lot of success. And unless he's been hanging out with guys like Jerks and Profar, I'm really excited about what we're seeing out of KaironParis this year. We just need to find the right home for him. The Angels don't really have a second baseman of the future. They did draft Christian Moore out of Tennessee last year with the 8th pick. And a lot of people were like, hey, this is going to be the guy. But, he hasn't earned that spot yet himself either.
Right.
So maybe it could be Paris. Maybe it could be Moore. They've started putting KaironParis out in center field. But
okay.
Hopefully either Moore or Paris can play third base because obviously Tony Tende, AnthonyRendon certainly isn't going to do it. And now the speculation in the Angels sphere is AnthonyRendon going to be there? He lives pretty close to the Houston area. Is he going to be at the series? I hope not.
Just as like a spectator, is that the fear or what?
Yeah, that he's just gonna no, he's just gonna come hang out, say hi to the team or whatever. But I mean, everyone's like, no, you keep that cancer away. He's, that's nothing bad to anybody who's has family experiences cancer. You guys know that term. People use it.
Right.
Don't cancel me. Everyone's used that term before. Okay. He is a very, very bad piece of the Angels puzzle. I think there could be some kind of connection to him maybe being part of the problem. I mean, I've had many friends in the organization who have said that the guy, when he came over in 2020, was a very hard worker. And as the year dragged on that year, he started to become very, very lax. So I don't know what changed, but clearly his mentality towards baseball did.
Right. So is he technically on the IL? Is he okay?
Yeah, he has not shown up since I don't even think he went to spring training. I mean, all these sources we have never really reported him ever being there for workouts or whatever. So he had the what was it this time? Shoulder surgery? I don't even know. I mean, as a hardcore Angels fan who's been documenting this team for 4 years, I don't even know anymore. I don't even pay attention to him anymore. You know what I mean?
That is fair. That is fair.
My life is less stressful if I just kind of think that he's off being happy with his family. And you know what? If there's any way that AnthonyRendon ever stumbles upon this episode, do yourself a favor, retire, head out to the sunset, man, enjoy time with your kids, You guys are set for life. Stop ruining our life, please.
Hey, I feel that way. I felt that way about a couple of various players on the team. So I can understand and appreciate that. So another guy that I kind of wanted to get your opinion on slash thoughts. TimAnderson. How is TimAnderson doing?
He's been a decent role guy.
Okay.
His defense is still there. But that was never the issue when he went to Miami or whatever post White Sox. He's not really lighting it up with the bat. I mean, he's been serviceable, and that's always been the Angels' issue. And I mean, you've been on our show dash like events we've had 5 or 6 times. You know what I mean? It's been quite a bit. And what you've always told us about the Angels is, they have a couple of guys at the top that are kind of scary when, Ohtani was here. Obviously, we still have Trout. But after you get past those guys, it's a whole lot of nothing. And I think at least TimAnderson helps raise the floor a little bit. If we have injuries, which we've had this early going, we're not going to, like I said, the peanut vendor. You know what I mean? It's a guy who is a batting champion, a guy who at least, you think to yourself, like, okay, TimAnderson, this guy hasn't been great for a couple years, but I'm also not going to throw him a cookie down the middle. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice to have that mentality, because being in the division with the Astros, we've seen you guys take a lot of these reclamation projects and have some success with them in the past. There's a lot of teams that do that. The Dodgers have done that. Look at Max Muncy. Look at Justin Turner. Those were guys who, with the Mets or the Athletics, respectfully, were nobodies, right?
Right.
And they had to change the scenery. They went to the Dodgers, and they had some success. I mean, you guys have done that various times as well. So the Angels really haven't had any of those reclamation projects. I would say maybe, dare I say, Carlos Estevez. He was with the Rockies, wasn't really that good. A lot of people are like, no, this guy is good once he's out of Coors Field. Came over to Anaheim. I think he was very successful with the Angels. Brought a King's ransom back in that Phillies trade. But, I mean, TimAnderson's batting 172 with the 226 on base percentage. Like I said, nothing impressive, nothing crazy. He's TimAnderson. The guys seem to like him. He seems like he's there for the vibes, and every team needs a vibes guy.
Okay. All right. Well, the team, we talked about how kind of young the team was. And so maybe him and, Travis d'Arnaud can lead that veteran leadership kind of quote and, go from there. I don't know. How's
they need some veteran leadership, and say what you want. Those two guys can at least provide that.
how's Jorge Soler doing?
I like Jorge Soler. Let me pull. I think he's batting about 226, but also it's Jorge Soler. You don't bring him on for batting average.
Yeah, no.
He is a power guy. He is a power threat. He's been our cleanup guy for the bulk of the games. He's been protecting Trout, and it's been working. Trout's starting to heat up a little bit. His batting average is still a little low, but I think he's got about 5 home runs, if memory serves correctly. I'm sure we will talk about him. But yeah, Jorge Soler, 4 to 4 at bats. He's batting 227 with an on base percentage of 294. Exactly what you expect out of Jorge Soler, and exactly what you want out of him. You know what I mean? He is a very much what's the comp to Jorge Soler? This was pre-baseball, Suzy, but I mean, Adam Dunn, I'm sure you've heard that name before.
Yep.
Very much an Adam Dunn, Jim Thome type guy. They're going to be batting 240, 260 if all is well by the end of the year. They're going to be in that 90 RBI range, 20 to 25 home runs. Perfect. That is what I want from you, Jorge Soler. You are a name. You're the marquee on the sign. You're going to protect Trout, and that's what we want out of Jorge Soler. He's getting the job done. His defense has been serviceable. And once again, that is what you wanted of Jorge Soler.
Hold on. Jorge Soler has been playing the outfield for y'all?
Yeah, he's played right field. They actually benched Trout. Well, they put Trout at DH. They scratched him from the lineup to put him at DH to put Soler in right field. And you know what? Like I said, serviceable. If the ball was in his vicinity, he'll catch it. If it's not, he'll let it bounce, and then he'll play it. But hey, that's what Taylor Ward's been for us. Taylor Ward is not a great left fielder. Okay, I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, he's a top 10 left fielder in baseball." Okay, yeah, he might be on paper, but he's not a good defender. He's an average defender. He's got a limp noodle out there for an arm. But same thing. He'll hit 20 home runs. I think Taylor Ward is a good guy. He's not the guy, but he's a guy.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, so you got some pieces. So has Taylor Ward and Jorge Soler been, I don't want to say platooning, sharing left field, or who's so
Soler's been DHing, I'd say about like 70% of the games.
okay.
So here's what it's primarily been for anybody who might be wondering. It's been Ward and left. Adele's played the bulk of the games in center. KaironParis has gotten the scraps of those, but he's been playing second base a lot more lately.
Okay.
Trout's been in right. Chanuel's at first. Second base has been Paris or Rengifo, Newman, or Anderson. Newman's been over at short. Third base is Rengifo or Moncada just went on the IL, the 10-day IL. I think it was like thumb soreness. It was one of his fingers were sore. So seemingly not a major issue. We'll see. But once again, he's another guy who's just kind of there. Defensively, he's been good. Offensively, he's bad below the Mendoza line, if memory serves correctly.
Okay.
And then, O'Hoppe obviously catching the bulk of the games.
When is Neto going to be back?
So he's been starting an awful lot of games at shortstop for Salt Lake. There was a little bit of speculation that perhaps he'd be ready before the Astros series, but Salt Lake B's game's already over, and there's been no reports. I'm guessing they would have already made the report if he was getting called up. But I would venture to guess probably by the time the Angels come back home. So after the Texas two-step, and that's what we call it when they go to Houston, then they go over to Texas to Arlington.
Okay.
That's what we've always called it. That seems to be what the Angels always do at least once a year. They do the Texas two-step. I think most teams probably do.
Yeah.
But, I would imagine the next time they come back to Anaheim, he should be good to go. He's now played about, I think, up to 7 innings in a single game at shortstop. He started DHing. I mean, the guy's already hit like 3 or 4 home runs for the Salt Lake Bees. The issue was never exactly his hitting. They always knew he'd be fine offensively. But, he had shoulder surgery.
Shoulder surgery. Okay.
There you go. I anticipated the question.
I couldn't remember what injury it was, but yeah. So,
so I think, obviously when you have major surgery on something like your shoulder, they want to make sure that defensively you're sound.
Right.
And he's proving that he is. So hopefully sooner rather than later he gets that call, because that's an advantage I think the Angels have. This isn't just a role player. Zach Neto is arguably the guy in Anaheim if you're not talking about Trout and O'Hoppe. We'd mentioned on our show many times that they should have a friendly rivalry going on, between O'Hoppe and Neto. That's good. The Astros had that for years between Bregman, Correa, George Springer and Altuve, right? There was always that friendly rivalry of who's the guy in Houston at one particular time. And the advantage is it doesn't necessarily just have to be one of those guys, right? They can share the responsibility. One guy's hot, 2 guys are hot, 2 guys are cold. You know what I mean? So the good news with the Angels is they have that young core. So hopefully this year they're playing some competitive games in August, maybe even September if they get lucky. And next year is kind of when we're expecting that window is going to start to open.
Okay. I like that. I say I like that. I don't like that, but I'm going to be a good host and say I like it.
I mean, in all fairness, you've been on our show many times and you've kind of admitted as much that you think that's kind of when the Angels could have a competitive window. I don't think it's far-fetched, to think by next year those guys would have had 3 years together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They still have about 3 to 4 years of control left, respectfully. Hopefully by then, some of these starting pitching pieces, Aldergetty, Soriano, Kochanowicz, have kind of started to prove themselves as legitimate major leaguers. So at that point, not only do you have the position player core, you now have a starting rotation core.
Right.
And in theory, you've already kind of added to the team via free agency like you should. Arte Moreno has liked to just buy pieces, and that's just not how baseball works anymore. You need to build from within. Look at the Astros. They had what? Was it 4 or 5 straight 100-loss seasons?
That was before Baseball Suzy. I couldn't tell you. I think it was 4.
I thought you
though.
would have known that though.
No, I think it was 4 though. Yeah,
Okay.
no, because it was. I think it was 4. Yeah,
It was right
'cause
when they came over from the NL Central. I know for sure because they were the laughing stock in the AL West for a couple years because it was just like, oh yeah, those guys suck, and they tore it down. They did it the right way. That's what a lot of teams do.
Yeah.
You know, with all due respect to Astros fans, right? Back when you were able to do that, obviously you can't
Yeah.
tank anymore. You know,
No.
I kind of like that you can't tank anymore, though. I think it's good for the game.
Yeah.
But it also really sucks because, I mean, look at the White Sox. I mean, if your team still sucks, you're just kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
But
now
their
we
farm
can't get a
system's
lottery
really
pick.
good. Their farm system was. I mean, they got hosed this last freaking season. I felt real
Yeah.
bad, and I was real mad that the freaking Mariners got the number 1. No, number 1, number 2.
Washington got the number 1 pick. The Angels got number 2, and I think
Okay.
Seattle or something got like 3 or
Got
something.
3.
Like
Okay, it was just much higher than I needed the freaking Seattle Mariners to get. So
yeah,
whatever.
especially because, I mean, they're always kind of an on-the-fence playoff team, at least the last 2 years.
Yeah, stupid Mariners. Anyhow, is Caden Dana in the bullpen?
He's not anymore. He was for a little bit last week. They called him back down.
Okay.
RyanJohnson went on a paternal leave. I don't know why I wanted to say bereavement leave. Yeah, nobody died. Thankfully in his family, he had a baby, and yeah, if you did the math, 9 months. Oh, that was when he got drafted. So you know they obviously had some happy time. And
yeah, that makes sense.
that's what happens.
That is
The
what
birds
happens.
and the bees talk. If any kids are listening, you know, don't look to us for that. That's not what we're here for.
Ask your mom. So, okay, so Caden Dana is no longer in the bullpen. Then
As it should be. As it should
who
be.
who is in your bullpen?
So we have Zephyr John. He came over in
From the Rays? No.
Phillies, I believe. He came over in either the Red Sox trade or the Phillies trade for Luis Garcia
Gotcha.
or Carlos Estevez.
Gotcha.
I'm a podcast host. It's sometimes impossible to remember all these trades and moves.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've been there before. It's kind of hard.
Listen, I get $0 from the show, so this is the amount of research I'm going to do. So I'm going to just believe you, sir.
That's fair. Yeah, I could just start throwing random names. You're like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
Yeah. So, yes, Ryan Zephyr John, funny name. I promise that's a real player. Ryan Johnson, as we've already brought up a couple times. KenleyJansen's obviously the big fish in there, if you will. BenJoyce is another key piece there. ReidDetmers. So yeah, the Angels certainly have a bit more of a bullpen than they've had in years past. They also have McDaniel, the Rule 5 pick that they got from the Dodgers. So they have an interesting bullpen. I'm not going to say it's a strength, but so far it has not been a weakness, thankfully.
Okay. Well, I mean,
and they also have Robert Stevenson at some point coming back. For anybody who might remember, he was on the Rays 2 years ago, was signed going into last offseason, but he had a clause in his contract that if he got shut down via Tommy John, it added an extra year of control, and that's kind of what happened.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I mean, it's a nice little insurance policy there. So let's
also a bit of a red flag. Like, you guys didn't think that maybe he was actually hurt. Maybe we shouldn't have signed him.
Well, you know, I was gonna say, who knows what Artie likes to do, but you know, so far, the moves that he made this season look like they may have worked out. I mean, Darno seems to be, you know, kind of like we said, the veteran leadership working with O'Hoppe. You know, so Kikuchi, Soler, but Soler was a trade, yeah.
Yeah, he was the very, very first move after the World Series. Like, I literally like hours afterward.
That's what it was. Yeah,
and it was a good move. They basically got him for free. They gave him Griffin Canning, and then the Braves literally just DFA'd Canning, and then that's when he signed with the Mets. Yeah. So, but you basically got him for free.
But he's tearing it up for the Mets now.
Yeah, I have not looked. Sometimes here and there we do a segment where we spy on our exes, but yeah, we have not done that yet this season. Now I need to pull that up because now I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight.
You probably should. And then
Ugh, let's see. Okay, we're gonna do
it's
this live.
yeah, don't I'll just warn you. I'll just warn you because he was one of the Mets starters that we faced in that series, and everyone's like, oh, it's Griffin Canning. Like we know it's Griffin Canning. I'm like, I don't think you guys do. It's not the Angels Griffin Canning. Nope, no, the Mets quote unquote
they,
pitching lab got a
they
hold of
fixed
Griffin
him.
Canning and they fixed him, and yeah,
Yeah, 2 games, 0-1 with a 2.79 ERA, 9 innings. I mean, still a small sample size. We'll see if Griffin Canning actually rises to be what Griffin Canning normally is. But I mean, hey, you know what? I can cheer for Griffin Canning. I really have nothing against the Mets. Um, he's always shown flashes. He's always been kind of one of those guys for the Angels. The Angels had a lot of those guys, you know. Oh, sometimes they're on, but most times they're off. So whatever. I can live with that. He didn't go to a team I hate. So whatever. Hey, go Griffin Canning. Go get it, kid. You go
that's
get it, pal.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So I had joked with my Mets friends that their starting rotation was the island of misfit toys because literally it was just, they brought over Clay Holmes turned like reliever turned starter, and then Griffin Canning, and I'm all, are are we sure about what we're doing over here? Like what's happening, And then Tyler Tyler McGill, and you're just like, how is this? What is this? What is happening over here? And then obviously the Mets. The Mets are doing Mets things and surprising everybody. I was like, oh, look at you, David Stearns, just doing the things. So
Hey, like I said, I mean, I'll give them credit. If this is actually who Griffin Canning is going to be this year, then good on you, mate. You know what I mean? No, no hate. I mean, I don't think a lot of us, as long as they don't go to like a team you hate, like if you guys lose somebody and they go to the Rangers or someone else in the division, you're going to be like, ah.
yeah,
But I mean, if they go to a team like the Braves or whatever, who you have no beef with, it's like, hey, good job. I'm glad you figured it out.
good. So, tell me kind of what you guys expect from um, the the series coming into Houston. Like I said, that drubbing of the Rays today has got you a little bit excited. Has got to have you guys at least a little bit excited coming into Houston, like
Yeah,
coming
I
off
mean,
that big win and like getting that energy.
I'm cautiously optimistic about how the Angels are doing right now. Like I said, I am gonna wait for the other shoe to drop till it doesn't. You know what I mean? Until there's legitimate playoff tickets that are in our hand, because the Angels actually made it. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. That's just what we've been used to in Anaheim. At some point the tide does have to turn.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen this year, but if it does, hey, great. I mean, all these teams have competitive windows, and it's not uncommon that maybe a team is a year early. It was bound to happen eventually. I'm glad that even this early on, there are positive signs, right? KaironParis is a
Right.
positive sign. LoganOHoppe is
Oh, you muted yourself. There you go.
Logan Olapi is going out of his way to prove that he is still that guy. Neto's not back yet. Trout's actually having fun out there. He's laughing. He's smiling. All of these things are hopefully going to produce a quality series for us, and hopefully at least have a competitive series against the Astros. Sorry, midway through the headphones died. That's why.
No problem. So, yeah, we have been. I say we, like I have a mouse in my pocket and I'm on the team. The Astros are dead last in slug in the league, not just in the AL, in the entire league. And so, hopefully we can get that figured out. Um, this this series, fingers crossed. But we lost Spencer Getty to the thumb injury, the random batting practice accident. I'm like, why the fuck are you out there? But apparently it's like a thing where the starting pitchers are out there. I was like, all right, whatever. So you guys will face Ronel Blanco, Ryan Gusto, and Hayden Wisniewski. So we shall see how that all unfolds and if we can, I don't know, figure out our hitting because apparently we like to load the bases and then, with like no outs or like one out and then just not score any runs. That's our most favorite thing in the entire world to do. That's the Astros' new favorite pastime hobby. I say it's new, it's not new. Literally they did it all last season. So, we'll,
I
yeah.
will say this. This is not the Angels team. If anyone, if there's any Astros fans watching who have not seen anything about the Angels this season at all, this is not the Angels team you guys remember. This is a young team who is hungry. And I think you've kind of alluded to that yourself.
Yep.
There is a lot of thump in the lineup. Joe Adele kind of showed that last year, and he's starting to get hot. Taylor Ward had no home runs on the season before the Tampa Bay series. Now he's got 3. So Trout, like I said, he's in the 5s. LoganOHoppe homered for 4 straight days, so he's got 5. So this is an offense that is cooking. KaironParis is arguably the hottest hitter in Major League Baseball right now. So this is an offense with some firepower. Don't make a mistake because they will take advantage of it. And as of right now, the pitching all around has been really good too. So this is probably the hottest Angels team the Astros have faced in probably about a decade. Is this the best Angels team? No, I don't think talent-wise it is. But this is a game of hot streaks. And as of right now, like literally go where we speak right now, I think the Angels are one of the hottest teams in baseball. Well, let's say it like that. Of course not. I'm not an idiot. But like I said, right now, it is such a game of hot streaks. This is a team that is riding a high right now. So I'm going to enjoy it personally while it gets good.
Right.
But yeah, it's a hot team, and I think it should be a good series. These teams, at least recently, have faced each other very well. There was a good amount of time there where we were just routinely getting thumped by the Astros, but lately they've started to play each other a lot better. So it should be a fun series.
I think so. I hope so. So, like I said, we've alluded to it. This last game for the Rays. Did you guys win the series?
We did. Yeah, the Angels have not lost a series this year.
Well, congratulations. Again, we've better than the Astros. We got swept by the Giants and then lost the series to the Mariners. Love that so much. So, where was I going with this?
Well,
It's
when you
gone.
give your thought, I will say this. I mean, say what you want. The Giants are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, too. Say what you want. Seattle, a lot of people still think they're the team to beat in the division. I know you'd have something to say about that, but a lot of the projections are saying that Seattle, it's their division because of their pitching situation.
Right.
And we said as much in the AL West preview.
Yeah.
But at least you guys didn't lose to Joe Nobody,
That's true. That's true. That's what I was going to say. So I was going to talk about the last Rays game where everyone and their dog literally hit home runs. So it was a score of 11-1, and 8 of those runs happened in the 5th inning. Joe Adele homered twice in the same inning, guys.
Yeah, the same inning.
In the same inning. I'm sure someone has come up with the stat. I need to know like how many times that has happened. But let me I need to read you guys the stat line in that game today in that 5th inning. Why? Like Zach Littell is not a schlub pitcher. I mean, it's not obviously he wasn't on today. But up until that point, you know, he was doing all right. Like he gave up a couple of earned runs in the 1st and the 2nd inning, but then in the 5th inning, Joe Adele said, "Hey guys, guess what? We're gonna play home run derby. Who wants to play?" And then everyone raised their hand, and Zach Littell said, "Oh, okay." Like what? What happened there?
Yeah, I mean Joe Adele, like you said, homered to center. Taylor Ward then homered. That was his second of the game at that point. Mike Trout homered. Adele decided to homer again. I mean, it was hitting's contagious, right? We've heard that many, many times, whether you play baseball or softball, or even if you just watched and you never played. That's a saying that everyone's said to death. And clearly, like I said, the ball's carrying in Tampa at George Steinbrenner Field, and the Angels took advantage of it. This is a
Yeah.
hot offense, and they're just rolling on all cylinders. There's no other way to put it. It's a fun team to watch. They're a hungry team to watch. Joe Adele's led by example. He's starting to get hot, and there's just some things you just can't explain. It's just been that situation for the Angels all year. Like, I can sit here and try to explain what's happening. You can look at the baseball savant. We talked about KaironParis's numbers, but right now this is just a team that's clicking for whatever reason. I'm only getting worried because now MLB Network is starting to say, like George Amsing or whatever is like, "Hey, I don't sleep on the Angels. I'm excited for this team." I'm like, "No, no, everyone, shut up. Look away. Look away. The Angels still suck. Don't look. Don't look."
Right. You're like,
Because
no, don't do that. No.
no, don't jinx it. Don't look. Don't look. Don't pay attention. Whatever is you've been doing, keep doing it because we don't want to jinx it.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so that fifth inning, like we said, Joe Adele literally one pitch homers. Like starts off the inning with a homer. On the next pitch, TimAnderson singles, and then Taylor Ward, 2 pitches in,
Homer, yep.
homers. Rengifo on a pitch that was below the zone, singles.
Yep.
That was a 6-pitch inning. Excuse me, 6-pitch at bat.
Rengifo always kind of done that.
And then Mike Trout on the 3rd pitch hits a home run. And then after that, they're like, okay, just kidding, Zach Littell, come on out. Let's put in Mason Englert and see if Mason Englert has any more success. He manages to strike out Jorge Soler. Damn. On a curveball that was in the other batter's box.
Jorge Soler, once again, power guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't get Joey Gallo because you think he's going to hit. He's going to have the best pitch selection.
Yeah, get on base for you. Yeah, no, that's not what we do. LoganOHoppe in 2 pitches hits a single. Nolan Shanuel grounds out on 1 pitch. KaironParis reaches on catcher's interference. Then Joe Adele homers again on the 1st pitch.
Yep, 3-1 RBI. Sorry, 1 swing, 3 RBIs.
And then TimAnderson mercifully grounds out to end the inning. I saw the second Joe Adele homer, and you could just tell, like, Mason Englert, like, turned around and was like, what the fuck? Like, just so incredulous and just, again? Like, how?
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for the story to come out that the Angels are using torpedo bats. What's your opinion on that, by the way?
I just don't understand why it took so long.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, nobody.
It makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, also nobody thinks about reinventing the playbook until someone does it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, why weren't we doing that the whole time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense for certain players, i.e. Anthony Volpe. Like, players that get jammed in a lot, like, it makes sense. Like, Yordan Alvarez, I don't think is going to be using a torpedo bat, but I mean, at this point,
does Mike Trout need a torpedo bat? You know what I mean? The guy just kind of always had power. I mean, if you find a barrel anyway, do you really need it? It's the comp I keep hearing is like it's for those like second tier guys, the guys who really, maybe like maybe like a Jorge Soler, he's a power guy, but I mean, maybe that can help him make a little bit more contact. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, but then I wonder then, if people if pitchers or catchers recognize that the player is using a torpedo bat, if they pitch him differently, try to get him swinging on the outside, so that they can like foul tip or something like that. And so I wonder, if that's quote unquote the adjustment that's made. But I don't know, since Jazz Chisholm, called everybody idiots for talking about the torpedo bats. Apparently the torpedo bat ain't helping him now. So, I think it's only going to take you so far, like you still need some talent to put that on said ball. So
but I just get into the old discussion about like steroids in baseball, right? Like, well, you still need to make contact. You know what I mean? So same thing with torpedo bat. You can have whatever the hell you want if you're not putting a barrel to the ball or hitting it in the exact right location, it's not going to matter.
So. Yeah. So it is what it is at this point. I'm just more mad at the balls. Like, I don't understand why, with as much technology as we have today, that we're still using fucking like mud. They're putting mud on the balls to try and get it to be more grippy. What? Like, or like rosin. You're like, you mean to tell me with literal, like, we have the scientific knowledge to bring back a fucking extinct dire wolf? Like, you mean to tell me that you can't make any sort of material, glue, anything to like substance to put on a baseball to make it just a little bit more tacky and like
so
and have it, mainlined, like streamlined across the league so that you don't have umpires being like, that's the stickiest thing I've ever felt. Like, I don't understand.
Well, that's why I think, like, I never had an issue. Like, okay, spider tack, maybe I see why they banned that, but like sunscreen and rosin, why would you guys ban that? Like, those are two things that you provide. Is that cheating? I mean, these are every team has sunscreen, every team has rosin. You can't call it cheating because look at the torpedo bat. Oh, well, that's not cheating. It's in the rules. Okay, well, you guys provide sunscreen and you provide rosin. So how is that cheating?
Yeah, trust me. I don't know, but I'm like, bring something back. Like, what the fuck? Bring the Goldilocks balls back. That's what I want back. That's what I would like. So that we just have all of the offense.
Juiced baseballs with torpedo bats and pitchers using
spider tack. Yep.
Yeah,
do it all. do it the fuck all. Like,
you want all the sliders and MLB The Show.
Yeah, I you know what? We want to be entertained. Like, entertain me, damn it. Like, I want to see that. That's what I want to see. So, yeah, I don't know. So, hopefully, no offense, Fernando, but hopefully the Astros can, be the first team to hand the Angels an L for the season. Fingers crossed.
I understand that you're on the other side of the fence on this, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I will accept that.
But, to be fair though, I think you guys have are you guys on? Do you guys have your run differential? Is your run differential up?
I have not looked.
Oh, look, you are the only team. I mean, I'm pretty sure the drubbing again of the Rays helped today, but because I looked this morning and you were -1, and now you are +9. So you are the Angels are the only team in the AL West to have a positive run differential. For those that don't know what the run differential means, if you've like heard it but you don't exactly know what it means, it basically means you've scored more runs than you've allowed.
In all fairness, we also had the opening day loss where we got spanked by the White Sox, and all Angels fans were like, "Oh, same thing, different year." That also really, really skewed it against us because every other game, if you looked at all the Angels games, they've all been close.
Well, I mean, the Rangers are -8. We're at -10. The Athletics are at -17, and the Seattle Mariners are at -15. So,
but their offense sucks. Their pitching's great. Offense sucks.
So that's that. Again, that's the AOS sucks apparently.
I mean, we knew that coming in, right? We knew that it would be one of the more competitive divisions in a not good way.
Yeah, it's not great. It is not great.
Yeah, this might be a division where like 88 to 90 wins actually wins it. You know what I mean? I think it could very well be that this year.
I think so. I would probably concur with you. So,
but also don't the winner of the World Series comes out of the AOS because all you got to do is get hot at the right time. So
that's true. That's true. We're just pacing ourselves. That's what I'm going to say that we're doing. The Astros. Yeah, we're just pacing ourselves. We don't want to peak too soon. That's okay. There's a piece of Suzy that is just screaming on the inside. So,
you gotta put yourself to sleep tonight.
Yeah. So we're gonna close the show, Fernando, is there anything else that you guys would like to let Astro fans know about this new look Angels team?
No. I mean, I feel like I already said what I had to. I mean, obviously, it's a different Angels team. It should be fun to watch some. You guys actually going to see Mike Trout play for once. For so long, he's just kind of been the ass end of a bad joke. All of his injury issues. As of right now, he's healthy. So, it should be cool to see Jordan Alvarez and Mike Trout, two of the better players in AL West, compete against each other again. It should be fun to see a blooming Angels team play the team that has been the team to beat for the last decade in the AL West. And hopefully we get a competitive series. That's all I ever want.
I like it. So, if for some reason, there's Angels fans listening to this show and would like to check out your show, Fernando, can you tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs?
Halos in the Infield on everything, TikTok, X, Facebook. We got a Facebook group, YouTube, you name it, you'll find us. And as always, we will happily, retweet all this as well. And I really appreciate you having me on and letting me talk Angels baseball.
Yeah, I like it. I think this is the first time I've had you guys on over here. I know I've come on over there for a couple of different times now, and now I'm finally returning the favor. So,
Yeah.
um,
Finally worthy. We've earned it.
so like I said, guys, if for all of your Angels coverage, head on over to Halos in the Infield. There we go. I totally fucked that up the first time around. I was like, Angels in the outfield, Angels in the infield. Nope. Both wrong. Halos. There we go. So we will definitely put all of your information in the description so that they can find you and hopefully, give you a follow over there. And with that said, like I said, hopefully the Astros can hand you guys your first L. I would love that. I know you guys wouldn't, but that's okay. You guys have a winning record. It's about time you guys lose. All right, like it's fair.
But then we wouldn't have a winning record anymore. You see what I mean?
But you know what? Like we're a couple games below 500, so I can't be there.
That's
We
fair.
can't be there. Like we just need to even it out. That's all I'm saying. So, with that said, you guys, if you guys have not already subscribed to Bourbon and Baseball, please do that on the YouTubes, on Apple, Spotify, any sort of podcasting streaming service, whatnot. Leave all of the 5-star reviews or 5-star ratings and all of the nice things. We would love that. Please go and subscribe to the YouTubes if you've not already done that. Go share it with all of your friends, families. I say enemies, maybe. I don't know if you talk to them, whatever. With that, we will go ahead and wrap the show and say, yay, baseball! And record.
Yeah, if you didn't like her show, 1-star review on Locked on Astros.
And with that, we're going to hit end record.